Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome, how are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Young men and family pressure to avoid dating overseas is what I want to talk about today. Here at Love Beyond the Sea, I am an equal opportunity employer. While older guys have long been familiar with and certainly willing to go to the Philippines to look for a wife, I don't hear much about younger men looking for good wives in the Philippines. I believe young men owe it to themselves to consider overseas dating if they want to avoid being alone for the rest of their life. That sometimes comes with some pressure and resistance from family, which is what I want to address today. I will use comments I received from a concerned subscriber, so I thank him for that. He is going to talk about where this family pressure comes from and what a young man can do about it. Please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea and I can show you what works with a woman from the Philippines. I married a Filipina 6 years and 5 months ago, and this channel details the many aspects of such a relationship you will encounter, and I want to help it to go well for you. You hear me say GWYW now and then. That means go where you are wanted. For many young men, that very well might be the Philippines. I have a playlist I will link in the description box that has 4 videos in it, and so far those would be: how can a young man impress a Filipina? Make a Filipina your first choice to marry? Can a young man find love in the Philippines? And should young men join Christian Filipina? That happens to be a live stream interview with Christine from Christian Filipina. The majority of men that I personally communicate with privately through email and sometimes phone and video chats are young guys in their 20s and 30s, so I know there is keen interest in finding love beyond the sea. So watch these videos for the reasons why a young man is an attractive option to a Filipina. Here are my subscribers' comments, followed by mine. Let me know what you think in the comments section. And I'll try not to cough more than 3 times, but it's hard. He starts with this: older generations, with the exception of sexpats, expats, have the mentality anything outside of the United States of America is lawless wasteland because of life experience and being closed-minded because of their upbringing. As such, have an ignorance to possibilities and are set in their ways, and anything deviating from that formula is wrong. Well, I was fortunate to not even know about much of this when I got married, so I don't know for sure if it would have deterred me or not. What I do believe is that there are many Filipinas who would love to marry a Western man who is younger and closer to their age. Their online dating profiles reveal that often. For many, that is their first choice. But where are the young men? These girls want to get married. They make good mothers, good companions, good lovers, good friends. I got married in less than 8 weeks, so you can find someone sooner than you think. Then they talked about common complaints, such as a long-distance relationship will never work. You're just too far away. And you're not trying hard enough. You don't need to date someone half a world away. Why don't you date someone from here? And while the Philippines may be thousands of miles of air travel away, there's nothing a Filipina can do about that, and she is the one who needs to be pursued. When a man takes the initiative to fly to see her, that means a lot to her. A young man without children pretty much puts himself at the top of her list. Come on, man, what are you waiting for? Using webcams to communicate is about all you can do to see each other face to face. And while the Philippines is right now pretty much shut down at the moment, I don't think that's going to be permanent. So you can use the time now to communicate with someone, get to know her well enough to visit her in the Philippines when you get that opportunity. And really, LDRs are not that uncommon anymore. It sure worked for me. Now, I felt like I tried for, several decades here in America the best I could, and felt like maybe time had passed me by. But if I had tried the Philippines sooner, maybe I wouldn't have had to wait as long as I did. And, I'm not really proud of my Guinness Book of World Records for longest time, being between relationships. If it hasn't worked, looking for you are, go where you're wanted. And what difference does it make if a woman who you could marry lives far enough away, that you have to fly to visit her? Personally, I don't think it is all that difficult to find a wife over there. If you focus on the Philippines, that may apply to a different country too. And that still applies to younger men. Don't waste time. You can find a wife in the Philippines. Continuing with his comments, these types of people, these negative Nellies, will be the first to tell you, I told you so, as a means of stroking their own ego and further validating their ideas. Well, I say relationships that don't work can occur right where you are, too. You don't have to go thousands of miles away to have a relationship not pan out. Don't need to look overseas to find situations where people have gotten taken advantage of. Use common sense and you can avoid getting taken advantage of. They continue, younger Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and below grew up in a globalized world. Therefore, with the help of the internet, see nothing wrong with international dating. To them, the world is their village and are more open-minded to the concept. Also, they say these two diverging thoughts clash and can often result in caustic fights between the younger man and his older family members, leading to feelings of animosity and estrangement. I agree with that. Now, I don't want to pit a young man against his family, ever. In fact, I wish his family would watch my videos, let them know about Love Beyond the Sea. I believe that as much as possible, we should try to have the approval of our family when it comes to the person we marry. I think usually they will try not to interfere, but for some, the idea of a very long-distance relationship makes them worry it will not work out. Maybe the family should ask, or should be asked, if all relationships are great in their own country. What can a young man do? I will add another video called Young Men in Crisis for you in the description box. I had overlooked that originally out of about 850 videos now. Some more thoughts from this concerned subscriber. I'm again very grateful for their thoughts. They say, young men, despite the enormous amount of family pressure, should stay the course and do what makes them happy and not be pressured by family expectations. Proving the family wrong will eventually lead to acceptance to the idea, as it dispels the propaganda from the media they grew up with. And they also say a young man, especially if he is living at home, must show leadership and independence while also acknowledging certain concerns regarding scamming. This shows the family members that he is no longer a little boy that needs to be coddled, and he can handle his own affairs. They finish with, not taking the chance will lead to regrets and what ifs. Don't let that happen to you. They say you have nothing to lose as long as you are smart about it and follow the rule of not sending money. Now, I say there is no law. A wife has to come from within a certain radius. What is important, though, is the qualities that she has. I think after the family has a chance to learn what she is like, what her good qualities are, and even be able to communicate with themselves, they can be won over. The main thing is finding a suitable mate. What is the point of limiting yourself in this process? I'm sure glad I didn't. Don't think for a moment that dating overseas is an old man's game, because it really isn't. Doesn't have to be either. Do some Filipinas yearn for a young Westerner to woo them and ask her to marry him? Of course they do. There are plenty of women to go around. You have youth on your side. Increased earning potential. You can run around and do things with a young Filipina. Traveling, that shouldn't wear you out too much. And you may have more in common. You might be more skilled in today's technology. That's a big help. You can have many years together. And, that sounds really good to me. I sort of wish I had done this sooner, but I wasn't privy to LDRs and dating overseas. Never thought of it. I assumed, like some of you, that it would be easy right where I was. Just had to keep trying. But I turned out to be wrong. You might be subject to reasons why a very long-distance relationship won't work, but the other side of the coin is they often do. I can help you with what to do. After all, I have to live it out myself, and I want to be real with you. Family pressure exists to protect you, but not accepting some well-conceived risk could result in shutting you out from finding love beyond the sea.